Time for the only radio show of its kind. Auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, veterans of vintage. It's the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. For the next hour, enjoy great information about buying and selling antiques and collectibles, and some interesting stories. Now, the Donley Auctions Hour.
Hey, welcome back to the next installment of the Donley Auction Hours. I'm Mike. We're here with my brother Randy.
Good morning.
Donley,
afternoon.
Yes,
it's 1 o'clock already. My goodness.
And right now we're in the middle, actually, of our gun auction going on right now today. And tomorrow is military relics, so we hope you go online and see all the great stuff we have up for that. But really what we want to start out with is our next upcoming auction, which will be this Friday night, July 19th, which is the Mancuso collection at Lake Forest Ferrari. Joining us now is Rick Mancuso. Rick, how you doing?
Good morning.
So Friday's the big auction.
Yeah, here we are. I mean, it's closing in. I can't believe. We've been working on this for at least a half a year already, and boy, now a week away. It's really getting exciting. And Rick, I really thank you for taking the time to come on today, because I have some serious questions about one in particular item that's in the auction, which is actually, out of everything in the auction, I think this is the big granddaddy of them all, and that's the 71 Corvette.
Very interesting car.
Oh, that it is. But, Rick, I have had so many calls on this car. People are interested in this nationwide, but the question that I keep coming up with is, we have it listed as an LT1, but people have said this is a ZR1. Which is correct?
It's a ZR1. The LT1 is a different chassis package and a different engine package. Similar car, but not the same.
Okay, so truly, did we make a mistake by calling it an LT1? It's just not an LT1.
Yes, you made a mistake.
Oh, my goodness, because the ZR1, that's the rare one.
Well, speaking as a Corvette guy, a longtime Corvette guy, yes, that's a mistake.
Yep. Wow.
And a big one, okay? Because I don't know how many thousands of LT1s were made, and that's a great engine. There's versions of it still being used today.
Uh-huh.
And comparing it to the ZR1 Roadster 71, where they made one, that's a big difference.
Well, here's again now. Correct me. So in ZR1 land, or ZR1 land, there were in 71 there may have been 8 made, but only one Roadster, and that's your car.
That's what Chevrolet says.
Wow.
Because when I had the car originally, because I sold the car originally, which is a great part of the story, I sent a letter to Joe Pike, who was in charge of Corvette at that time, marketing Corvettes and writing Corvette news in those magazines. And he sent me a letter and said that they didn't have the world's greatest records, but he would look into it and keep records like they do today on every little thing. But he said, it looks like we made 8 ZR1s during 71, 7 coupes and 1 Roadster. And the Roadster that you're referring to, the one you have now, would be the only one that we ever made in 71. Now, there's rumors that there may have been one made in 1970. Not quite sure about that. I think there could be. But in 71, this is the one.
Wow. I mean, it's just fabulous. But everything you've got in this auction is fabulous. And a lot of action we're getting on the 57. Can you tell us a little bit more about the 57? Now, is this the 57 Vet race car that you have up for auction? Did that actually, the body ever start as a 57 and get customized, or how did it obtain the look that it has today?
It started as a street car. It was a street car for 2 years only, and then became a race car in 59. and it's been a race car since then. The unusual part of this car is that it's been a race car with lots of documentation. It's raced in the Monterey Historics, which is really one of the top-level historic races. One going on in Chicago right now, which is the WeatherTech International. Up at Road America, which is another wonderful top-level event. But this is won races at Monterey. It won concours races because it's so pretty and beautiful and striking to look at. And unusually, it's also street legal. So it's run the Colorado Grand, which is for cars generally 59 and older, but they have to be street legal. So it's extremely versatile. I've never driven this car. I've had it only for about 2 years. And guys, I get the beauty of being able to see these cars every single day. So for me, I get to enjoy them 10 times a day as I walk by them. Driving them would be an added bonus. But could I back up to the 71 for just
Oh,
one
please
moment?
do, yeah, because I'd love to spend as much time on that vehicle as you want. Because, again, before the auction, this is the last time we're going to be on the air, and we're going nationwide. So please, let's promote this car.
Well, the history on the ZR1 is really interesting. In the late 60s and early 70s, General Motors was real interested in SCCA racing and A and B production. A production Corvettes were big blocks. B production Corvettes were small blocks. They focused on the big block cars, 68, 69, 70, 71, with John Greenwood and Owens Corning and lots of other great privateers. They did a lot of racing. That's when they started to enter them at the 24 hours Daytona, and they entered them at Sebring, and they started doing very well. And General Motors started adding equipment to the cars that was different than what they would do to a normal 71 Corvette. So on an L88 package, which would be the predecessor of the ZR1 that we're talking about, it had different brakes, different rotors, different drive shafts, gearbox, radiator, fan shrouding, ignition wiring, shocks, springs, everything. Then the racers would take it and move it up from there. So in 70 and 71, they made the same chassis, but they put a solid lifter small block in the car, which was a basic LT1 engine, but bumped up in power by about 30 horsepower. The rumor is it's even more than that. They knew they'd take the engines out and rebuild them anyway. But the chassis itself is a special part of this car, with the special J56 brakes, the larger rotors, the bigger aluminum radiator, the M22 gearbox, the radio delete, power steering not optional, air conditioning not optional. It was basically the chassis that you needed to go racing. And then the racers would take it, massage it up. So it started life as a street car. And at that time, I was working with my father at the Chevrolet dealership that my father and brother had. And a guy from the North Shore walks in named Richard Messerschmidt. He was an A production racer.
Wow.
He'd been racing the 69 Corvette convertibles in the aluminum ZL1 form, which is even rarer. Very few of those motors were even available, and only the serious racers could get them. Richard was one of them. And he told me that he wanted to order a ZR1 street car for himself. And I said, well, it's not available. He said, well, I think it'll be available. On the bottom part of your order blank, send it to Joe Pike at Corvette. Tell him this car's for Richard Messerschmidt, and they'll build it. And I thought, really? I don't believe any of that. I didn't say that. In those days, the way we would order cars from General Motors, it wasn't that long ago, I guess, we had a 3-part carbon form where we would check boxes off on the top half for the option count. And then on the bottom half, you could write down any called special instructions. And then we would put it in the mail and mail it to General Motors, and that's how they would accept our orders to build cars. So I did exactly what Richard asked me to do. I filled out all the options on the sheet, and we mailed it to General Motors. I put the special instructions on the bottom. And 6 weeks later, here comes a truck, and there's a Steel Cities Gray ZR1 Roadster on the truck.
Incredible. So they custom built this car in 6 weeks for him. For you, yeah.
For him, yeah. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And he was such a fastidious micromanagement kind of guy. He goes, don't touch the car when it comes in. Don't take any of the cellophane off it. I will do all of that. Don't wash it. Don't touch it. I don't want anyone touching this car except me.
Wow.
And then he had it for several years. But I bought it back in 74 or 5, and then bought it and sold it, bought it and sold it, had it for 4 or 5. My wife drove it for a couple of years.
Rick,
and I lost track of it.
We need to take a quick break now, but you will come back on the next segment, correct? You've got time to stick with us, yes?
Yes.
Wonderful. We'll be back with Rick Mancuso. Incredible stories about the cars we have coming up in the auction, which is next Friday.
And you're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour. We'll be back in just a second, right after the break.
They've been called auctioneers of antiques, collectors of cool, even veterans of vintage. And they can introduce themselves. Thanks for listening. This is the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. You're here with Mike and Randy on the Donley Auction Hours. Right now we're talking with Rick Mancuso about our upcoming auction. And when we left, we were talking about the ZR1 and how it came to be and the build on it. Rick, you want to fill us in on the rest of the story here?
Well, it's really interesting, at least from my standpoint, because I have so much of my history in the car. So I had the car. I bought it back from Richard, and I drove it and had it for years, and my wife drove it for a while as well. But, at that point, I was just starting to race in IMSA Corvettes and in the GT category, and I ended up being kind of a co-driver with John Greenwood in some of the longer races. And John was my hero, one of the great race drivers of our country, and he, at one point, had the car painted all in black with the stars and stripes on it. He had it in white when he had a B.F. Goodrich contract, and he raced at Le Mans on street tires. It looked like kind of my car with beautiful graphics on it. But I wanted my street car to look like his race car. So this was the only car that I ever painted in my life, and I did everything to the car the collectors would just shriek and yell at me for doing today. Is I buffed all the real color off the car, the original color, which was Steel City's gray, and I made it black. And I changed the wheels to mini lights, and I changed the steering wheel, and I kind of personalized the car, an early version of personalization, which we would say today was be destroying the value of the car, ruining its originality, but no one really cared at that point. So, and then I ended up selling the car, and it was gone, and I went racing and went into business and didn't know much about it for 40 or 45 years. I'd hear about it from time to time. Chevrolet dealer on the East Coast got it and had it for 25 years, and he restored it back to stock and did a perfect, beautiful job. Just a great job.
And then... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then a retired, I believe, judge in the Seattle area ended up buying the car for he and his wife to drive and put all the documents together, made it a mission. So I have a document book on this car. Here's the best part. The first page of the document starts with the sales order from my father's dealership with my name on it as the sales guy. The order that triggered the entire thing. That's how good the documentation is on this car.
And this is the beauty of when you buy a vehicle like this. It's the history. It's the story. It's not only the vehicle that survived, but the whole story that goes along with it.
And folks, we keep preaching, in auction world, if you're going to buy, if you're going to invest, it's the provenance. The provenance is stellar on this vehicle. As you said, you've got a whole book on this car.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And then when I bought it back, thrilled to have it back, then I had two guys come out that are Corvette experts just to verify everything about the car. Gary Bosselman and Jim Anderson. These are the experts on these cars. Gary wrote the book on how to judge cars, make them Bloomington Gold. He's one of the directors and the judging chairman for the National Corvette Restoration Society. And Jim Anderson's one of the longtime ZR1 Corvette experts in the country. Keeps a registry on them. They spent 4 or 5 hours going over the car, and they said, it's not really a good Corvette. It's a great Corvette. So that was fun to hear from those guys. So I take a lot of pride in this, and It's been fun to have it. One sidebar interesting things, and I don't know, this is fact or fiction, but one thing I did to the Corvettes that I had all the time, I always used to put a locking gas cap on every one of them. And GM made them. They were chrome plated. They had a key that went right in the center of it because that wide gas tank opening was probably 3-4 inches wide, bigger than a golf cup that you putt into. And you could look in the gas tank and see what you needed all the time. It was easy. You didn't trust the gauge because they weren't quite as good as they are today. So I'm going through the 71 car after I had it back. And behind the driver's seat in the 71s, that C3 version, there's a false bottom, and you can pull out the insert that forms the drawer itself back there. I'm poking around, and I open it up, and there's a locking gas cap sitting there. And I thought, could that be the one that I put on the car in 1975? And the restoration guys didn't even see that? Or were they so good that they saw it and left it there and then put another cap back? I don't know, but I was baffled when I saw that. But it just added more to the intrigue for me.
That's wild. That's wild.
Yeah, no, it's been interesting.
And Rick, I will say so many experts have told me this is potentially, one of the absolute rarest Corvettes on the market at this time.
Well, if you go to Google and put in 1971 ZR1 Corvette Roadster, technically they're called Roadsters. I'm old school on that. That means convertible, but we used to call them Roadsters in those days. This car pops up instantly with page after page of ratings and opinions and stories and all kinds of background. This car and ZR1s, they target it as how rare it is and how important it is. So it's fun to be associated with a Corvette like that.
Wow, that's great. Oh, Rick, where do we begin? I mean, here we have this wonderful car, but I mean not just the cars in this auction. I mean, we refer to this as the Mancuso collection because, my goodness, everything that you've collected as a dealer. I mean, your Ferrari memorabilia, I mean, Aston Martin, McLaren, I mean, all the different items you have in this auction. What a fabulous, fabulous auction we've got coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, I just hope you go online to DonleyAuctions.com as soon as you can to look at this wonderful auction. And we do have some very limited seating. It's going to be live at the Mancuso dealership. Now, one question that I have all the time, people are saying to me, well, we go online to look for the Mancuso dealership in Lake Forest, but it shows up as Lake Bluff. It's called the Ferrari Lake Forest, correct?
Yes, we're right on the line. When we opened in 1982, we were in downtown Lake Forest, and we were there for 23 years. That's our DNA. So if you just go to Ferrari of Lake Forest, you'll find us, and our mailing address shows Lake Bluff. That's correct.
Beautiful. Okay, now, again, if you want tickets to this auction to be there live, you will have to contact us, ASAP, because we only have a few tickets left to attend this auction. But you can also go online. You bid online or do phone bids with us, and viewing is by appointment only, so you have to call for that. And Rick, we've got a couple minutes left here. What else would you like to point out? You have any favorites in the auction besides the cars?
Well, think about this. This memorabilia items, none of these items, none of them were ever available to the public. They were only available to the dealers.
Well, that is quite a statement to make. So none of this, like you say, has been mass produced for the public at all. If you ever wanted, memorabilia that is unobtainable, this is it.
I love the counters, the sales counters. I mean, the perfect bars for your man cave or your rec
They're
room.
perfect.
Oh, man.
We have like 3 or 4 on different sizes and colors.
Put a half-inch glass top across that, and you are ready to go.
What I love, some of my favorite items are this unbelievable high-quality luggage that's specifically made for these automobiles. I mean, and the engines. You've got engines and manifolds to make cocktail tables out of and everything. And the artwork. It just goes on and on, folks. Rick, your collection is fabulous. I just don't even know what more to say about it other than this is a once-in-a-lifetime, ladies and gentlemen. It's never been available for sale before. And Rick Mancuso is offering it up so that people have the opportunity now to put this in their homes and man caves and she sheds. And
So it's perfect for that. You could decorate an area of any size with this stuff. And have something that absolutely no one else has.
That's it.
And once again, it's going to be this Friday night, coming up July 19th. So go online at Donley Auctions right now. Rick, thanks for joining us. It's always a pleasure talking with you. And we'll be right back from Donley Auctions Hour discussing our upcoming auctions. Stay tuned.
You're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560. The Answer.
Welcome back to the Donley Auctions Hour, here with Mike and Randy Donley. And Donley Auctions is located just 45 minutes northwest of O'Hare Airport, just off I-90. So we're really close to everybody here in northern Illinois.
And, we're going to be talking about other auctions, but I just one more time want to thank Rick Mancuso for being on the air with us today. What a class act this gentleman is. Owns the Ferrari dealership in Lake Forest. And, of course, as you heard in the last half hour, we've got his auction coming up July 19th.
That's this Friday night, yeah. So go
that
online.
It is.
Go online. Everything's up there now. You can bid online, or if you want to come see it live, you're going to have to get tickets. So you're going to have to contact us because there's only 50 seats available. And I don't even know how many tickets we have left.
Not a few, but not too many. And to that point also, though, if you need to see things live and you're not even coming, you can make arrangements by calling us for a preview.
Yeah, you can call 815-923-7000 and get all the info you need from our girls.
That's good. So, Mike, what else? Gosh, we've been so busy. We've been running around the city like chickens here. I mean, just all over the place, picking merchandise up for these upcoming auctions. Yes. What do we have after the Mancuso collection?
Coming up July 25th, that's our collectible knives auction, and that's an online auction only. You can go up now. Everything's online. If you've never really dealt with really collectible knives, go up and just take a look, and you'll see what we're talking about. Some of these are commemorative knives. Some of them are knives that were made for use and have never been used. They're still new in the boxes. And knife collecting is just such a huge hobby. I don't think I ever really realized it until the last couple of years when we started doing knife auctions. As a matter of fact, just remember, Randy, a few days ago, we were out seeing a woman, and she pulled out some knives that her husband collected, but it was all really high-grade stuff. Works of art, one of a kind. And when you see some of these knives, the ones we just picked up won't be coming up till later. But when you see a really good handmade knife, you understand why people collect them, and they're works of art in themselves.
You know, Mike, a name that came up that I was not familiar with, again, ladies and gentlemen, even though we deal in this stuff every day, we learn every day. And one name that came up was Skagel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess he's like the granddaddy of knife makers. All the ones that have come after him learned from him.
It's just surprising, though, the value of Skagel knives. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars for knives that, again, they could be. Yeah, I mean, the one that we have right now, coming up at auction, as a matter of fact, was actually in a gentleman's fishing tackle box.
Right.
And Neil Leaders, our gun expert, just absolutely found this, and the owners had no idea. And they're going to be shocked at what they get out of this knife because
it's going to bring thousands of dollars. In fact, there's Skagel knives that'll bring $20,000 to $30,000. They're even on display in the Smithsonian Institute, and these were knives that were made, in the 1960s. So it's not like they're hundreds of years old.
Right, and Randall knives. Of course, most people in the knife world, or even not in the knife world, know the name Randall. Mm-hmm. Randall knives are again. So sought after and so very, very expensive.
Yeah, so once again, we always say this. If you find these things laying around and you think they have no value, check them out. Give us a call. Send us a picture because we're like going in and taking your lottery ticket, and we're the scanners that you hold that lottery ticket under. We're going to tell you whether it's worth something or not. Give us a call at 815-923-7000 or email us pictures, DonleyAuctions.com. We're happy to help you out. That's what we do. Because if we see something of value, we're going to tell you because not only you're going to make money on it, but that's how we make our money too. So we don't let things fall through the cracks. So just be careful about putting stuff out for garage sales or throwing it in the trash before you check it out.
You bet. So what else, Mike? What else is coming up?
After July 25th, then we roll into our coins and currency auction, which is another online auction. That's on a Thursday, August 8th, online. And I believe that's already up online. Ryan, our coin expert, has put together a really nice selection, collectible, and there's bullion in there. There's all types of things, paper currency in this one. So it's going to be a really nice auction. And again, you'll have drawers full of change or stuff stashed away. Silver dollars. Everybody has silver dollars. Check them out. I mean, everybody thinks a silver dollar is worth, $20, $30. Wrong. I mean, there's silver dollars that are worth thousands of dollars, even in poor condition because of their scarcity. So you have to check them out.
You're so right, Mike, because what a lot of people are doing right now is turning in their money for scrap. Their coins, I should say,
right,
for scrap. And numistically, I mean, many of these, be it silver or gold, are worth more to a coin collector than they are for scrap value. Mm-hmm. So you can't just take them and scrap them, even though that's tempting. Mm-hmm. You first need to check these things out.
All right, we'll be back in just a minute here. We're going to be talking about our upcoming auctions. Our Summer Classic is right around the corner, too. So, once again, stay tuned. You're listening to the Donley Auction Hours right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, more of the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. This is Mike and Randy Donley here on the Donley Auctions Hours. We are a auction house located in Union, Illinois, which is 45 minutes northwest of Chicago, just off I-90. And what we like to do is help you liquidate collections that you have and make them fit in your wallet. So
that's our motto.
Yes, sir.
Either that or we're the guys when your husband dies. I mean, a lot of people have given us a little static over that. They feel it sounds insensitive, but surprisingly, widows have come to us and said, I really like that, and it's so true. When our husbands pass, we do need help. I mean, too often people end up in a situation where somebody passes in the family and they've been a big-time collector. And as much as everybody would think that wives know how to liquidate or what this stuff is worth, it's just too often that they've actually been kept out of the value end of these. And very often, guys have been buying and spending money that they didn't necessarily want their wives to know how much they paid for this stuff. So they might have come home and said, oh, honey, I only paid a couple $100. And unfortunately, it might have been a couple thousand.
Or more.
And people just, they don't know. So again, we're here for you. If you need help to liquidate a large collection, give us a call, and we can at least give you our opinions of what it's worth.
Correct.
So, Mike, August
17th and 18th is going to be our summer classic. Now, this is one of our big auctions. We usually run a fall classic and a spring classic, which has all our coin-op, cars, jukeboxes, architecture, all the really big, crazy stuff. But we had so much left over and still coming in for the April auction, we said, well, we can't hold this till
November. Wait, right.
So we decided to add a summer classic, and that's going to be coming up August 17th and 18th, which is really right around the corner. And boy, is this stuff flooding in.
It is. We've got a great selection of barn find automobiles, for one thing.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff there.
We can use more.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to call us because, one thing about our car selection, we're not a car auction offering 500 cars in a day. We're looking at 20, 30, never more than 40 or cars in an auction, which really I think really is advantageous to somebody who wants to sell a vehicle when you don't have too much competition.
Right, and in this auction especially, I mean, when Randy says barn finds, we're literally pulling these out of barns with tow trucks, and so many of them are project cars. I mean, some of them they're all there. I mean, but they need restoration. They've been laying in a barn for the last 20, 30, 40 years. And some of these are just great father-son projects. I mean, when Randy and I were growing up, our dad had a gas station. So that's how we got our first cars. My dad bought cars that needed work and taught us mechanics. And that's how we learned how to rebuild engines and such when we were 16, 17 years old. So, I mean, if you're a dad out there with a son who's, preteens and you're looking for a project that you put your blood,
good bonding
sweat
project.
Equity
you
into,
got it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. This is it.
These are the cars. So those will be up online in just
and so
week.
Many of these cars need very little. I mean, that 1941 Plymouth convertible. Yeah. Oh my goodness! Other than brakes, yeah. I mean, it starts right up and drives.
Yeah,
but
that's a beauty.
So these cars, a lot of them only need a little of this or a little of that if you want to take them and drive them, for parades or anything. We're looking for more cars, motorcycles.
Yeah.
But, I keep saying this. Up until this last auction, it seemed like I would always find a collection of gas pumps or a big collection of porcelain and neon signs, automotive, Petroliana, we refer to it as. And for this particular auction, we even though we have gas pumps in the auction, we didn't find that big collection of 10 or 20 gas pumps, which we know you've got them out there somewhere in the city.
There's a barn full of them
that
somewhere.
collection. And we have run into collections of as many as 200 gas pumps at one time. So again, if you've got one or a collection of gas pumps or globes that are on top of the gas pumps, we're looking now.
Yeah, other things coming up in this auction are slot machines, jukeboxes, pinball machines. Pinball machines are bringing huge money right now, so it doesn't matter whether they're working or not. I mean, give us a call, send us a picture at DonleyAuctions.com. We'll give you our opinion of it. And we can offer pickup service, too. So, maybe in your basement, how am I going to get it out of here? We can help you with that. So don't hesitate to give us a call and send us a picture.
Now, Mike, do you remember up and down, when we were kids, up and down State Street, all the old arcades and everything?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, do you remember the big viewing machines they used to have? Cast iron, they were called mutoscopes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well,
you turn the crank and the flip card pictures.
Yep, we're looking for old mutoscopes, folks. Any of the old arcade equipment that you used to find, again, in arcades, especially along State Street in Chicago, it's out there somewhere.
Well, yeah, when those places closed, it all went into people's basements for the most part, so it's still around. So
yeah, jukeboxes, too. Don't hesitate to call us with jukeboxes and, even hand crank phonographs with the horns on them. We're still looking for more of those.
And that's all these will be featured in our August 17th and 18th Summer Classic auction, which will be up online, I believe, in a week. We'll have everything done. We're finishing up photographing and descriptions right now.
Yeah, I should point out we've picked up some steam engines, too. Oh. Let's talk a little bit more about that. in our next segment, the steam collection that we have.
But once again, you're listening to the Donley Auctions Hour here on AM 560 with Mike and Randy Donley, and we'll be back for our final segment right after the break.
The Donley Auctions Hour continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. You're listening to Mike and Randy Donley here on the Donley Auctions Hour. We're talking upcoming auctions. August 17th and 18th is our Summer Classic, and we're still looking for items here. Always have room. Randy, I got to talk to you about this. Yesterday, 2 days ago, I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, Tucker, the dog, starts barking. I said, what is he barking at now? And I look out in the parking lot, and there is an airplane sitting in our parking lot. What was going on out there?
Well, you may not know this, Mike, but we bought an airplane. So, yes, we'll auction airplanes, as a matter of fact, but we bought this airplane because I thought it would make a unique sign, Mike. So, yes, we're going to add an airplane in our parking lot for a sign to show that we not only buy, but we auction military relics all the time. So this airplane is going to be painted up as a warbird in our parking lot for advertising. That's what that is, Mike.
Somehow, I think the cheapest part of it was buying the airplane.
I agree. But, you were talking earlier to me on our way in today about mentioning about private placement for collections.
Yeah, there's a lot of times people have these huge collections and expensive collections, and they don't want to send them to the auction. They'd rather find somebody who wants to buy the entire collection. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that buy like that. They want to buy entire collections to add to their own collections. So if you have something, a big expensive collection, we have buyers for it all over the world.
And it's important to mention this because I know folks, a lot of people don't necessarily want to sell their. A lot of people are nervous about an auction. I mean, we sing the praises of auctions because we see the results. But for the people who absolutely don't want to go the auction route, we still find private placements all the time. As Mike said, we've got collectors all over the world, and we can sell, $1 million collections privately for you. It does not have to go to auction. We also buy collections, too. So many ways that you can sell your collection. You can sell it privately to us. You can have us auction it, or you can have us find buyers for you.
Yep. And other things we're looking for, some guy called me the other day from down south. I'm going to have to be making a trip down there. Sorry to tell you that, Randy, but I got to go down south to look at 5,000 movie posters.
Wow, there's a collection. Man's
in his 80s, and they're all from the 60s and 70s. So to me, it's like, some of the movie posters have gotten so old and so far out of people's memories. I mean, the stuff from the 60s, he's naming off, Paul Newman posters and the early Star Wars posters. I mean, this is the stuff that people are really collecting now. So again, we see all the time. Sometimes when it gets a little too old, it's out of people's memories, and it's not as valuable. What do we call them?
Dinosaur bones.
Yes.
When it gets too old, it's a dinosaur bone in our vocabulary.
So once again, you can view all of our upcoming auctions at DonleyAuctions.com. We encourage you to do that. Please, if you have anything that you want to check out the value on, give us a call at 815-923-7000. Or you can email us at DonleyAuctions.com. We're located just 45 minutes northwest of O'Hare off I-90 in Union, Illinois. It's Donley Auctions, DONLEY Auctions.com. So I guess that's it for the week. And on behalf of everybody here at Donley Auctions, I'm Mike.
And I'm Randy Donley. And we'll see you at the auction.
Thanks for listening to the Donley Auctions Hour on AM 560, The Answer. Check out all the latest information on upcoming auctions and collectibles at DonleyAuctions.com. And while you're there, you can contact someone about buying or selling your collectibles or estates. That's DonleyAuctions.com.